Okay, this is another video on the H.H. Scott 340B that I've been working on. Right now the volume is all the way up. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but there's a pretty decent hum coming out of this thing. This video is to show the voltages that I have going to the 12AX7s. And what I'm going to do now is turn the volume all the way down, and the hum is just about gone. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I added some taps here so you can see what the voltages are. So this is my DC voltage coming right out of the bridge, and it's low. That's 48 volts. Okay, I'm going to switch over to AC now and go to AC volts and go back to the same place. What you're going to see is that I got 20 volts of ripple or AC riding on this thing, okay, which is no good. That's an indication that the caps are just not working. Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to go back to DC again, and we're going to read the DC voltage on the filament of one 12AX7 right there. 8.1 volts between tap 4 and 5. Okay, there's 4 of them in series when this is just one. Okay, so that's no good. Now I'm going to go back, read the AC voltage on that same tube. Okay, AC. And I got 4.58 volts AC or ripple riding on that tube. Definitely no good. Okay, the reason for all this is the capacitors. Okay, we're looking at down here. That's the cap for all these things. All this. Here's the 12AX7 where I tapped the voltage off it. I just set this in here so I could take some test voltages for this particular video. Now, as I increase the volume, the hum is increasing a lot, and it's just no good. The amplifier works right now, and you could use any of the inputs for it, play music, and it actually doesn't sound any bad. Now this is exactly how the guy that gave it to me bought it. He dropped it, some of it got broken, I replaced everything. I replaced this particular 20 ohm 5 watt with a 20 ohm 10 watt. I replaced these, This was all, they were all cracked. In here you can't see it, but there's a full wave bridge. The original bridge was just dead. It was partially working, so I wasn't even getting the full 48 volts. I wasn't getting the 48 volts, but I'm getting 55 volts to the bridge, 48 volts out of the bridge. And that's because there's no capacitors in this circuit. So what I'm gonna do is pause this. I'm gonna throw a couple caps in the circuit so you can see what the difference is. It's really amazing. Hold on. Okay, I added some capacitance here. I am very short on electrolytics, so I had to put 2 in series. So you figure I might have maybe, I don't know, 10 microfarads, but just to see what the difference now makes on this. This is what I got now, DC. That's up from 48 volts DC. And we're going to go to the film element now. And now I got 10.98 volts, where I had, what, 8 point something before, 8.5 maybe. The biggest difference, really, I mean, well, of course we need that voltage, but let's go back to AC now. I've got AC voltage, okay? I had 20 volts AC riding on this thing before. All right, now it's down to 6.4, okay? We'll go over to this other side here, where I had 20 volts riding on the tube before. I got 1 volt, 1.5 volts. Now when I change this capacitors, I'm putting about maybe 1100 microfarads in there. I had them, and that's what I was getting ready to show you all, but I had to get stupid, and this is what I did. I blew it up. No big deal. It happens. But now with this test strip set up, the other thing too is You really can't tell it, but the hum is significantly gone. I mean, I could hear it, but it's barely there. And that's pretty cool. This is my Handtech handheld scope. This thing is great. Anyway, the other thing I did was over here, just two black wires that you see running around here. I tapped right off the 0.02 microfarad cap that feeds right into the driver tubes for the power amp, and I ran them around over here so that this tape out is now power amp in. So you can go directly into this power amp and feed this thing. Now I got new tubes coming. I have new capacitors coming, which will give me everything that I want. It's going to bring the filament voltage of the 12AX7s right up to 12.3 volts. They're not center tapped, okay? And there's 4 in series, and it's going to drop that AC ripple down to nothing. It's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0 when I'm finished, which is what it was before I had blown up those two capacitors that equaled 1100 microfarads. So yeah, I'm going to add some more capacitance to this thing, a little bit of filtering. Here's the best part about this. That's the can right there. That's the 75 microfarads taps at 75 volts. That whole can's bad, but it's open, so I don't care if it's in the circuit or not. Chances are the other ones are bad too, but they're not as critical as that one is. That's the most critical. The other thing too is, you know, with the DC voltage being as bad as it was, my DC bias voltage was totally screwed up, and I haven't even gotten to the point where I'm adjusting that yet, because I got to flip this amp over to get to those adjustments. There's test points over here that come out through the amp for bias adjustments, and all the adjustments are for the other side of the chassis, and that's going to be interesting because I think once I get those bias adjusted right, this whole amp is going to perform the way it's supposed to. I don't think I'm ever going to get there's a minute amount of hum when I had the 1100 microfarad capacitors in this thing. There was a minute amount of hum, but right now it's pretty quiet. This is a lot better than when this guy bought it. A lot of reading, hours and hours worth of reading. A lot of study in the schematic. It's online, it's pretty easy to find. Just Google it, HH Scott 340B, and then download the PDF. If you try to print out the PDF, it just comes out like crap. But you could look at it pretty well on the screen and expand it. It's pretty clean. I also changed those resistors. They were just shot, so I changed them all what I could. Other than that, everything reads perfect. The filter caps, they read 0.02 where they're supposed to read 0.02. Everything reads nice. So I'm pretty pleased on the way it's gone so far, and hopefully I'll be able to get this thing even a little bit quieter than it is now, and then put it back together, and it'll be a really nice 1963 relic that's not just a boat anchor. So have a nice night. Bye.